What's up, my beautiful family? I hope everyone's having a blessed one and getting after it. Today, I'm in a place of reflection, and it's important for us to revisit some of the things that we went through over the years as we analyze where we are on the path to our journey of purpose, to our journey of success, to our journey of legacy, to our journey of achieving all of our dreams, our hopes, our desires. And so even this day, I look at what's taken place over the last few years, and currently I'm in this master's program, and as I look back, there was a time where I didn't think I was going to make it out of high school. As a junior, I had a 1.2 GPA. I had missed over half the school year being out of class. Some of that because I was just hard-headed. I was getting in trouble. I was fighting. I was in Ypsilanti, Michigan, doing things that I had no business doing. Engagements with law enforcement. Finding places to eat for the day. Finding ways to make money. But also getting in trouble while I'm doing it. Hanging around the wrong people, doing the wrong things. And I remember, and that's why I thank God for opportunities. I remember how hard it was. I remember the times where I did have to sleep in a ditch and I didn't have anything to pull over me to shelter me from the cold or the freezing rain. I remember the time I slept in a friend's basement with the dogs, getting bit up by fleas. I have those memories, and as I revisit them, I knew that I didn't want to stay there. I knew that my life was so much more, and I wondered, how did I get to that low place? And so once I got an opportunity to get my life back on the right track, I finished high school for 3.5 GPA. I went into the military right afterwards, and I was in the special operations community for over 15 years. That's the top 1% of the military. I graduated from the Sergeant Major's Academy just this year. Less than 1% have the opportunity to do that. And so when I look at the kind of success that I have, even as I'm in this graduate program right now, I am reflective and I am humbled by the experiences that I had to get here, the things that I sacrificed, the things that I lost, the things that died within me that had to die so I can grow into the person that I am today. I am thankful for those opportunities. And so this is a message of don't waste your opportunity. Don't waste your moment. Because although the situation may not look the way you want it to look right now, although the situation may be dire, although the situation may look like there's no hope, although the situation may look like there's no way out, there is a way out. And part of that way out is the power to believe that. But you have to have the power to believe when it doesn't look like what you want it to look like. You have to have the power to believe when it feels like you're not having progress. You have to have the power to believe when the pressure feels too heavy. You have to have the power to believe when the storm seems like it's wiping everything out around you. You have to have the power to believe in your grief. You have to have the power to believe in your failures. You have to have the power to believe no matter what is taking place in that situation. You got to hold on to it. And that's a difficult thing to do. A lot of times what happens is people get so succumbed to the pressure around them, get so succumbed to the situation that doesn't look like what they want it to look like, they just give up and they quit. And they say, you know what, it's not for me because I can't see it anymore because I'm in my own pain. I can't see it anymore because I'm in my own struggle. I can't see it anymore because nobody else around me believes. But sometimes you got to step outside of that and you got to say that I got the power in me to believe the things that everyone else can't see. The power to believe is something that's going to push you to the next level. What have you given up on that's pulling you back at this point in time? What have you given up on? Don't give up on yourself. And even if you've given up on yourself, you regain the power to believe. You revisit the vision that you had. You revisit the great things that are supposed to come into your future. And you start repeating that. You look at yourself in the mirror and you say, I am great. Not I am supposed to be great. Not I am going to be great. But you need to say that I am great. You are greater than what you imagine. The power to believe. And then as I went through my trials, as I went through the many journeys on this path, there were things that were just smacking me around. And doubt was just such an easy thing to seep in. You got to smack doubt in the face. You got to close the door to doubt. If anyone else is speaking doubt inside of your life, then you got to excuse them politely to go somewhere else. Excuse them politely. Hey, you're not going to be a part of this journey with me because you can't believe. It ain't for everybody, but it is for you, as long as you can gain back the power to believe. And then the second thing, what I noticed is that there were times where I still believed on what I was supposed to do, but I didn't have the discipline to stick to it. I got caught in my own feelings. I don't feel like doing this. I don't want to do that. Oh, but I can't do it because I only got 2 hours of sleep. Oh, I can't do that because I got this or I got that. And we can go on with the excuses and the excuses and the excuses, but the more that we give life to those excuses, we're inviting death to our purpose. We're inviting death to our dreams the more that we feed excuses. So at some point, you got to put the brakes on. At some point, you got to say, that's enough, because I got the power to believe, and I'm going to stick with my discipline as I go after it. Because the lack of discipline will have you sleeping in and missing your opportunity. The lack of discipline will have you arriving somewhere late when you're supposed to be there at a certain time, to meet with somebody, to gain something that you didn't know was going to come at that point in time. And so at some point, you got to hold yourself accountable. At some point, you got to stop giving yourself the okay. At some point, you got to stop making excuses and just do it. At some point, you have to just grind. At some point, it can't be everyone else's fault. At some point, you have to hold yourself accountable. You've got to wake up. You can't depend on something else or someone else. You've got to show up on time or early. You have to do the work necessary. You have to study. At some point, you have to go and work out. At some point, whatever the goal is, whatever the dream is, whatever the purpose is, whatever the calling is in your life, there becomes a point where you got to hold yourself accountable to the discipline of it. And you can't give any more excuses. And as you move forward, as you make progress, you have to be clear about what you're doing and why. Don't just do a bunch of things and say that I'm making progress, I'm just doing a bunch of things, but make sure that the things that you're doing make sense towards the goal. Make sure that the things you're doing make sense towards the purpose, towards the dream. And if it doesn't, then stop it. If it doesn't, stop giving an excuse to why you want to do it. Get out your feelings about it. This makes me feel good. I don't feel good when I do this, so I don't want to do it. Let me tell you something. Over the years, I didn't just get to the places that I did by giving into my feelings. I had to step into some humbleness. I had to ask for help in the areas where I was weak. I had to face those things that were hard. And there's more in the future. It's not over. The journey is still going. But I had to face the things that were hard. I had to say, okay, I understand that I may not feel like getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But guess what? That's what my life requires right now. If I'm going to get the time that I need with God, if I'm going to get the time that I need in order to prepare mentally for the day, if I'm going to get the time that I need to prepare physically for the day, then I have to do what I need to do. And that doesn't slow the requirements down for the rest of the day. That doesn't slow the rest of the requirements down that you may have upon your life. Because as many of you know, me and my wife, we got a full life. We got a full family. And with our large family, we've got activities for our family that we have to be there for. And we have to show up with 100%. We can't show up tired. We can't show up wiping sleep at our eyes. We got to show up for them like we show up for ourselves. We got to show up for them like we show up for our career. We got to show up for them like we show up for our personal development. We got to show up for them like we show up for each other in our marriage. We have to show up But so no matter what you have going on in your life, at some point, you got to hold yourself accountable to the discipline. Don't just say a bunch of things. Don't just do a bunch of things, but have some clarity about it as well. Even when I look back at my phone, for instance, I had 1,085 videos. So even though you may not see me every day giving you a nugget, giving you something to cling on to, I am working every single day because I've had this phone for less than 2 years. And I've got over 1,000 videos on it. Because I believe part of my purpose is to reach the world and inspire action towards purpose. I've lost too many friends that felt like they didn't have purpose in life. I've lost family that didn't feel like they had purpose in life or that were misguided. And so even as I sit here today, I'm reminded of the things that I went through, the things that I survived in order to get to where I am right now. I survived divorce. I survived the death of my friends. I survived friends who died from suicide. I survived and I overcame the grief from those that I lost that were closest to me. I learned how to heal. I learned how to go through my grief process and put myself back together. I overcame so much over the years, but the power to believe, because life is going to be unpredictable at some times. Life is going to throw storms at you that you felt like you weren't prepared for, but as long as you have the discipline to stay to it, then you can stay on course. When you look at airplanes, as they're in the sky, when the pilot can no longer see with his eyes, is guided by a radar, is guided by something that will guide it through the storms. And I'm telling you that the discipline has to rest within you. It can't just be based off of what you see with your eyes, but you have to have the belief that what is for you and hold yourself accountable. The discipline to stay on course, just like the pilot will stay on course. And the next thing is clarity. A lot of times we move through life, we move through our path, our journey, and we forget where we're supposed to be because our vision can get cluttered by many things that look like they're supposed to be for us, but they're not. They make look good, but they're not for us. They just feel good in the moment. And so you have to learn to get away from like what feels right. You have to learn to stick to what is right. If what you're doing is not leading you towards your goals, if it's not leading you towards success, if it's not leading you towards purpose, then you've got to get back on course. You got to have the clarity of what you're supposed to accomplish in life. You got to have the clarity of who you are. And who you are starts by what you say about yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and you need to say, I am great. Look in the mirror and say, I am great. I am great. The things that are for me in life and I will achieve them. I am going to be everything that God said I'm supposed to be, and you go out and you get it. But first, you need clarity. And then there's something we don't talk about often. It's the foundation. It's the power to heal, the power to restore, the power to move through the things that make you feel like you want to die yourself. I'm talking about the heaviest things. When we speak of resilience, we think of the ability to bounce back. But sometimes bouncing back is not enough. Because sometimes situations in life change you. Sometimes storms in life transform you into something that you didn't think you were supposed to be. So it's up to you to work on your healing. It's up to you to identify the areas that need the healing. And you don't always have to do that alone. Sometimes you can do that with a close loved one. Sometimes you can do that with someone of faith, someone in the church. Sometimes you can do that through a therapist. Sometimes you can do that through a life coach. Sometimes you have the ability to reach out to someone who can help you with your healing, but you have to be aware that it has to happen. Until it happens, You'll stay exactly what that storm transformed you into instead of evolving into who you're supposed to be. So you have to evolve, but first you have to be whole. You have to be put together. And as we talk about these things, some of you may be asking, well, how do I even find my purpose? How do I find what is supposed to be for me in life in the first place? I can tell you that it takes trial. Sometimes you can start with education, informal education or formal education, trying things in school that you find interesting in, because the very foundation of purpose is passion. And so you have to try some things. You're going to have to fail at some things. You're going to have to struggle through some things until you finally hit on what is supposed to be you. I'm telling you that somewhere on the journey, you're going to figure it out. Somewhere on the journey, somewhere through your pain, somewhere through your trials, somewhere through the things that you struggle with, somewhere through the I'm not good enough, somewhere through the that's out of my league, somewhere through that, you're going to land on your purpose and you'll connect with it. And once you connect with it, don't let it go. Always pursue it in every single thing that you do. Connect with it and stay on it. And that's not it. And there's always more. But for now, tune into the next video and I got more for you. I love y'all and I'm out.